Welcome to Sports Guy Talking. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am joined by guest Cincere Koonce today to talk about the Celtics versus Heat series. These are two teams that have been great at playing defense, and these teams have also had stability within the organizations. If you pick the Heat or the Celtics, one of those two teams to make the Eastern Conference Finals before the season started, or if you even have picked both, that would have been an extremely bold take to make at that time. Now, before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Who will win the Eastern Conference Finals? Celtics or Heat? In how many games?
I say Boston in seven because at this point, because they rough ride through two of the best teams in the East, in Brooklyn and in Milwaukee, blowing out Kevin Durant and Kyrie and beating Giannis in a game seven, an important win. So the way they were able to play basketball offensively and defensively, I think they can even out a series with anybody. And Miami, I feel like they haven't had really real defense given to them prior to the teams that faced beforehand, which is Philly and Atlanta that hasn't had like really real defense, but they're gonna know what real defense feels like.
Interesting that you're going to say Boston Celtics in 7 games. I'm going to disagree with you, buddy. And you're the one that's supposed to be rooting for the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat are supposed to be your team. What you doing out in your own team? I mean, I'm a Hornets fan, a rival of the Miami Heat. Here's what I got to say. I think the Miami Heat are going to win this series. I know a lot of people are probably going to attack me for this take, but I think this answer is relatively simple. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Miami Heat to play and win this series. That's what I'm trying to say. I think that Boston, I think they're a pretty good basketball team. Jason Tatum, he's playing an MVP candidate level in the playoffs. And then you got Jaylen Brown. He's been playing spectacular. But you can't tell me that this Boston Celtics team is going to continue to play insanely well. All right, look, Jason Tatum's not going to keep playing like he's the best player on the planet. As great as Jason Tatum has been playing, Jaylen Brown's not going to keep playing like a superstar in these NBA playoffs. And then Marcus Smart, he's turned into a knockdown three-point shooter in these playoffs. And then Grant Williams going off. Then there was this one game where Al Horford went crazy good, scored 30 points on Giannis Antetokounmpo in the Milwaukee Bucks. You mean to tell me that production is still going to continue for the Boston Celtics? No, that is not going to continue. It is physically impossible for the Boston Celtics to continue that kind of hot streak. Now, when you look at the Miami Heat, what they've done is pretty good. They beat the Hawks, who went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They beat them in 5 games. Okay, that's realistically what you would expect out of the
Mismatch.
Miami Heat. Then they go on to the next round. They play Philadelphia. Now, look, I'm not going to play revisionist history and say that the Miami Heat should have beaten them in 6 games. I personally thought that they should have swept the 76ers. But in my defense, I didn't know Kyle Lowry was going to stink up the bed in games 3 and 4. All right, so when you look at it from that perspective, the Miami Heat, they've played realistically good. The Boston Celtics, on the other hand, have been playing unrealistically great. And based on the odds that I think are going to happen, I think the Miami Heat is going to go ahead and they're going to dominate. Look, there's a reason why they got that number 1 seed. That number 1 seed that they earned was not fraudulent. They're a legitimate number 1 seed team. They're an incredible basketball team, especially on the defensive side of the floor. Look, they may not be a super team, but they are a super team in terms of knowing how to handle their chemistry. Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry when healthy, Bam Adebayo, PJ Tucker, Max Struss. Don't sleep on that guy. That guy can knock down some shots now. And when you look at this Miami Heat team, they got 3-point shooters, they got defenders, and Jimmy Buckets, man, he's been playing incredible in these NBA playoffs. And don't forget what he did in the bubble 2 years ago, too.
Yeah, this is a different Boston team though, man. This is not the same Boston team that was under the Brad Stevens management and all that. They're a completely different team. Not too differential from the couple of years ago, but as far as like physicality, as far as like different coaching strategies, they're a whole different team. And they have shown time and time again that they can go one on one with anybody and they're not scared to get at you and throw a huge bus at you. They would take important shots. They can get down on base and even lock you down. Even lock down your best guard, your best forward, and even your best and even out best your coach.
Interesting
So
stuff. Interesting stuff that you just noted. So you say that they've been a more physical team. They're doing a lot more things. I will give them the Boston Celtics this. They are a much better defensive unit than they could have ever dreamed of under the Brad Stevens era. Jason Tatum, he's been playing incredible basketball. He's playing like how Kawhi Leonard was supposed to be playing for the Los Angeles Clippers. All right, so that's how great Jason Tatum's been playing. And they play more physical. They play hard to the ball. They play with a fresh set of energy that just wasn't there under Brad Stevens. But you're kind of missing the point. Brad Stevens, that culture that Brad Stevens built in Boston, it's still here because he's the general manager for the Boston Celtics. Now, look, when you look at these two teams in the Celtics, in the Heat, what do you see in those two teams? Those two teams have strong organizations, strong ownership. Their general manager is the face of the franchise, basically. With the Miami Heat, it's Pat Riley. He's been here since 1995. With Brad Stevens, he's been here since 2013, which is a long time in NBA terms. Not everybody's going to be like Pat Riley and last a lifetime term on one team, all right? But when you look at this Miami Heat team, man, they just got a culture in place. I don't know why you're necessarily doubting them right now. Your team has gotten as far as they did. If I was you, a Miami Heat fan, I'd be screaming the Miami Heat would win the series. But I truly believe that the Miami Heat are a better basketball team than the Boston Celtics. Look, unless Jason Tatum's going to score 45 points multiple games in a row, and if they can hold Miami to under 100 points all 7 games in the series, they're not winning the series. Look, Boston, they're a great defense, but they're going to need to go bad boy Pistons kind of defense in order to stand a chance because this Miami Heat zone defense is vaunted. And the Miami Heat, there are no weak defenders on this team. And if there is a weak defender that I am missing out on some names, that guy can knock down threes. All right, so they got 3-point shooters. They got guys that can grind it out. You got guys that play hard for Coach Spoelstra, one of my favorite coaches in the NBA as far as I'm concerned. So when I'm looking at this, man, the Miami Heat, they're just going to be set up really well. And this is a team that I think will end up beating the Boston Celtics in 7 games. I do agree with you. This was one of the harder series to predict, but I won't give out a take for this prediction. This playoff series that is coming up with the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat, this is going to give you 1990s NBA playoffs vibes. It's going to be one of the most physical playoff series that the NBA has ever seen in a long time. And if you love defense, this is a series for you. And I like those chances. If it favors defense, it favors Miami.
Yeah, and I'm not doubting Miami like longevity wise. I just that in a game 7 when it's up to Jimmy Butler or Jason Tatum to get it done, I trust Jason a little bit more, if that makes sense, and that team and long depth because really, I mean, because Boston just got through a game 7, so Miami will probably get either game 1 victory or game 2 victory. So I mean, Miami, they have a little bit of advantage right now just because they had more rest, obviously. But to me, Miami seems a little bit more smaller than Boston, and Boston has more physicality. They have tougher guys in the paint.
I do get what you're saying.
Not too much of more of an experience, but I'm saying as far as of a team, more of a team look, that Boston has a better team look, but IQ wise than Miami. They have a chance. I'm not doubting Miami at all. I just that this Miami team is going to be way more different than what Miami faced in the bubble, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And when I look at this Miami Heat team, though, it's just they have so much playoff experience. And they have guys that they're just more versatile than Boston. Now, look, Boston, they're the team that's more fun to watch. They have the higher upside. But what wins you games in the playoffs? Experience and decision making. And I trust the Miami Heat a little more than the Boston Celtics. And also with your Jason Tatum point, you say you trust him more than Jimmy Buckets. I'm going to disagree with you on that one. I think in a game 7, I'm trusting Jimmy Butler over Jason Tatum. Now, look, I'm not saying that Jason Tatum isn't better than Jimmy Butler. Of course he's better than Jimmy Butler. But in a game 7,
Obviously.
I'm trusting Jimmy Butler over Jason Tatum because Jimmy Butler just has that dog factor. Like, if he wants something, he just goes, gets it. That's just what Jimmy Butler has. That's what makes me so enamored to him as a player. And I think that's going to be the difference in the series. The Miami Heat are just going to want more than the Boston Celtics. They're going to chase for more loose balls. They're going to do more of the little things well. They're going to hit some of the clutch shots that they're going to need to make. And I just don't think somebody like Grant Williams and Al Horford is going to continue to play as great as they've been. So that's how I'm looking at it. So I got Miami Heat in 7 games. Remember, they got the home court advantage in this series. All right, they got 4 home games. Boston's got 3 home games. All right, so that's going to be the difference. Home court advantage. I'm going to trust the fans in Miami in Game 7. I'm going to trust Jimmy Butler more than I'm going to trust Jason Tatum in a Game 7 just because of experience and that dog factor. So the way I see it, I'm going to go with the Heat in 7, even though the Heat are not my team. And you, the Miami Heat fan yourself, is going to go ahead and pick the Celtics in 7 games.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Unfortunately, yeah. For what I've been seeing from Boston, I underestimated them in the beginning, and now to the end, I have a different narrative of them now. And kind of Jason Tatum and Jimmy Butler, they're kind of alike. They're kind of similar. I'm not gonna lie, they're kind of similar. But it's just that, like, Boston at least it's gonna be back to back type of wins and losses. It's gonna be back and forth where Boston might win one game, Miami wins one game, and either place, like Boston might get one in Miami, and then Miami might get one in Boston. It's just gonna be going back and forth. That's what's gonna be so good about the series. So
yeah, I think it's going to be a tight series. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think it's going to come down to who's going to make more clutch shots and who will make better coaching decisions. And although Ime Udoka is a great coach for a first-year guy, he's not better than Eric Spoelstra for the Miami Heat. Eric Spoelstra, to me, is a top 5 coach in the NBA right now, and he's got Jimmy Buckets playing at a superstar level. So the way I see it, Miami Heat in 7 games. All right, well, thanks for being on the show, man. Really appreciate you coming on here. Even though you're a Miami Heat fan, hey, I got to appreciate you not being biased and picking the Miami Heat to win the series, even though I'm going to go ahead and do that, even though I'm not a Heat fan.
Yeah, what can I say?
Yep. Oh, and by the way, I just want to notify to some of these people that I picked the Miami Heat to go to the NBA Finals before the playoffs started. All right, I picked the Warriors and Heat to make it there. So, you know, I'll admit I'm a little bit biased. I'm still hoping that those 2 teams are going to make it to the finals. But for the most part, though, I was being objective. Even if I didn't pick Miami to go to the NBA Finals before the playoffs started, I still would have picked Miami to win this series. I think that they're just a better team and they're more experienced and they have a better coaching staff than a team like Boston. So that's just the way I'm going to look at it. Well, like I said, make sure you follow Cincere Koonce on Instagram at sincere.koonce. All right, so make sure you guys go ahead and do that. All right, see ya, bro.
I'll see you.
Yep. Bye. That was Cincere Koonce that you guys just heard. All right, so like I said many times in the video, he is a Miami Heat fan. Despite that, he's going to hedge his bets and pick the Boston Celtics in 7 games. And even though I'm not a Miami Heat fan, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Miami Heat to win the series in 7 games. I just think that the Miami Heat, they're the better team. They're the deeper team. They're also better coached as well. And there's also a reason why they got the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. So overall, it just comes down to me having more confidence in the Miami Heat than Cincere Koonce does for his team. So that's how I'm looking at it. So that is why the Heat will win the Eastern Conference Finals in 7 games. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking. Like the video and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in a future video. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Dustin Tran and at Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter at Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Sports Guy Talking to get the latest from the show, Tran Talks. Go ahead and like the video. Comment down below. Check the description box on the video in order to follow my socials. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from Tran Talks on the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.